The next biggest winner is brought to you in part by Welcome back to the roundtable portion of our discussion. We're back with our guests, Cameron and Bob. Gentlemen, I want to touch on the international nature of your businesses. So, Cameron, we'll start with you. You definitely have a business that's amenable to international growth, but you're a Canadian company. How much of your growth do you plan to come out of Canada, but how much do you keep an eye on internationally?
Well, Canada for us is where it all happens. We have all our experts, or most of our experts in Canada, driving and coordinating from here. So we may do some of our production and in Canada or internationally, but the market push for us is international. Revenues from the United States in companion animal, we're getting great traction throughout Asia in the livestock industries. So international expansion is going to continue to be critical for us.
Is it safe to assume that Europe isn't there right now because of the turmoil they're going through, or is it just natural? USA I can see as natural, but you kind of hopped over Europe and went straight to Asia. Is that because the problems they're having in Europe?
In part, it's also a question of greatest need for better and more elegant solutions in livestock. The agricultural industries in Europe are highly regulated.
Right.
That's a good thing and a bad thing. For us, we're really looking where people have the most acute problems and are coming to us and really asking for better solutions.
Bob, your business, definitely homegrown right now. You're focusing here, but it sounds like you can really lever up, and especially going over the border. How much you guys looking at the U.S. expansion as a strategy right now, and then internationally beyond that?
Well, the U.S. is huge, a huge opportunity, but it's huge for us now on the BPO side. We've got 2 centers, one in Reno, Nevada, and one in Fort Myers, Florida, plus our center here in Toronto. One of the nice things that we've got in Canada is we can service the world. Our the multicultural nature of our country. We can provide provide languages, that meet the requirements of much of the world. Certainly the U.S. If someone's looking for Spanish, we can provide that out of our U.S. centers. We can also provide it out of Toronto. On the HVAC side, where we're expanding to, the U.S. is a huge opportunity for us. And what we're finding is a lot of our rental and finance offerings that we take for granted here in Ontario, certainly, would be new and innovative in the U.S. So we see that as a huge push for us.
How are you seeing, is the U.S. rebounding? Is it in rebound stage yet, or is it just humming along?
No, I think the U.S. is rebounding. I think that their confidence is coming back, and certainly the confidence of business is coming back. That it's a sleeping giant, at its worst. So, over the next couple of years, we see big things coming out of the U.S.
Beyond the U.S. for you, because that's a natural one, just right over the border, very similar business, culture. Can you take your business model overseas? Is that something you can really expand with overseas, or just so much market in North America that you don't really need to look overseas for now?
Huge opportunity in North America that this is where we're going to focus for the next foreseeable future. But on the business process outsourcing, we can compete with anybody, and we can go into Europe, we can go into South America and Asia as well.
Because just in case of marketing, it sounds as if you have to be there at the end of the day.
Well, and we're very scalable. So we can set up, if we needed to, we can set up a BPO center in Europe, and we can be up and running within a very short period of time if we have clients over there that require us to be in that geography.
Cameron, I got a question for you that I was thinking about during our interview, but I had more important questions for you. Stop me if it's a silly question, but I started thinking, because you're a biotech firm and you've really discovered these properties that are so healthy for animals, can any of that science or technology be applied to humans? Not necessarily the exact, but the process of finding better things, can it apply to humans at all, or?
Certainly, these are natural products, and that will be ultimately on our agenda to take these forward into humans. But that can be a very expensive and highly regulated process as well.
Okay.
So for us, knowing that we are very safe and healthful for animals, it provides a greater body of evidence over time that will move that into the human health field as well as, again, as a nutritional supplement.
But in the meantime, regulation, I guess, is
well,
you got FDA and those
you
kind
walk
of things.
before you run, and for us, getting to profitability is a very, very high priority, and we see a quicker and more certain route to considerable profits in the animal field. And we'll probably partner for marketing and distribution on the human side as well.
But in the meantime, briefly, the government regulations aren't as stringent on the livestock?
They're still pretty stringent. It's just it's a less expensive proposition for a small company to get through that sometimes labyrinth of regulation and get to revenues and profits.
Bob, your business. What's the risk to your business in this interest rate environment? What happens if tomorrow bond markets decide that they no longer want to loan money cheaply to governments essentially at the end of the day, and rates start to climb pretty quickly? How does that impact you? How do you protect against that? Or is that just such an outlier event that you know it's possible but not overly concerned with it?
Well, we're not concerned about it right now, but certainly that could happen. And that's why we're building a balanced service offering. We draw a fair bit of our revenue from services that we provide, so we are always hedged with the services that we provide. We're always hedged with the BPO business. So really the only area where we would have exposure should that happen is on the financing side.
Or you're receiving the money.
Exactly. And yet, we think we've got a lot of room in there that we can still grow profitably even if rates do go up.
What's your Cameron, your need for financing at the end of the day? How much cash is your business? So a business like Bob's needs a tremendous amount of cash. The more it loans out and helps out companies, the more it's got to borrow. How is it on your side? Is it a big cash drain?
Not so much. It's one of the attractions of this segment of the business. We need small amounts of capital, for example, to build inventory and finished product and so forth, but it's more of a working capital issue. We only need to see a nominal level of sales before we move through into profitability, and then the business should be self-funding. We're not quite there yet.
What is that number for you, ballpark?
Oh, a few $1 million. So it isn't a large number. In the human health field, it might be hundreds of millions, but in this segment, the profitability or the prospect of profits are just as large, but the investment is so much smaller. And that's one of the attractions of our business model.
Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to both of you coming back sometime in the future.
Great. Thank you so much.
The show's over, but your work is just beginning. If you think you may have found the next biggest winner tonight, take the time to learn more about each company by visiting their websites and speak to your financial advisor. If you want to get interactive, join us on Twitter at NextBiggest or get to Agoracom where you can talk to other shareholders of small cap companies. Make sure to join us next week with more great companies. I'm George Cholas, wishing all of you a great night from everybody at The Next Biggest Winner.